Welcome to News from Northwood University. I'm Kate Hessling here with my co-host Dan Goodell.
Greetings, Timberwolf territory.
What a time to be a Timberwolf, eh, Dan?
Absolutely. Some great things happening here on campus, particularly the major victory from our esports team recently.
That's right. Northwood will represent Team USA at the Valorant World Championship in Istanbul, Turkey.
Northwood University esports secured a ticket to Turkey after winning the 2023 Red Bull Collegiate Valorant National Championship in Chicago, Illinois.
Yes, we play in Turkey in late November, and we plan to dedicate the next News from Northwood University podcast to highlighting the program, our players, the coaches, and the wildly exciting world that is collegiate esports.
You bet, Kate. It's incredible to think a university from Midland, Michigan, this small town here in Michigan, is the first collegiate esports dynasty in the United States. But our program continues to win title after title.
They do. And everyone on campus is rallying to support our players as they get ready to head to Istanbul.
Speaking of rally, campus is charged up to go head-to-head with Saginaw Valley State University, our crosstown rival, to see who can collect the most personal hygiene items from military veterans and their families.
Now, SVSU has about 10,000 students, which is double the size of Northwood. So we're really relying on our supportive alumni network to help us come out on top at the end of the month when the drive is ended.
That's right. We're calling on all Timberwolves to help Northwood come out on top as we collect donations for the Great Lakes Bay Veterans Coalition Fill the Trailer Project.
Fill the Trailer Project collects donations that the Saginaw VA distributes to veterans from mid-Michigan all the way to the Mackinac Bridge. As America's Free Enterprise University with a gold status as a veteran-friendly school from the Michigan VA, Northwood is proud to support this effort to help veterans and their families.
We have several drop-off locations around campus, including spots at the Church Family Administration Building, the Athletic Office, the DeVos Graduate School, and the Student Union if you'd like to help.
As we like to say, let's roll, Timbies.
It's a perfect time to make a difference in the veterans' lives.
Speaking of time, guess what we're approaching?
The holidays.
The holidays! As we enter the holiday season, Northwood is putting the final touches on Winter Wonderland, an annual effort we do here at campus for our students and the local community.
Here with us today is Laura Rhodes, Annual Giving Director for Northwood University. Welcome, Laura. Can you tell us a little bit more about Winter Wonderland?
Absolutely. So each year, Northwood transforms our campus into a literal winter wonderland. We invite community and our students back to campus for a select number of dates to experience horse-drawn wagon rides, festive music, hot cocoa, and crafts.
This is one of my favorite events of the year on campus. I tell my friends and family, forget about making the trek to Frankenmuth. If you want a beautiful horse-drawn carriage winter wonderland ride, come to our winter wonderland.
Yes, this year's Winter Wonderland dates are December's 11th, 12th, 18th, and 19th. Specific times and parking information are available online at our website of wonderland.northwood.edu.
The webpage also contains sponsorship information if anyone is interested in making financial donations to help continue this great community tradition.
Yes, we are so grateful for our donors and sponsors. Any amount really helps. And it's something that benefits our students as well as the community. One student said it makes their semester so much more enjoyable, particularly because it's towards the end of the semester when they're really starting to crack down and get ready for final exams.
Yes, as a former student, I can tell you it's pretty special walking around campus with the decorated mall walk, the Christmas music playing as you're heading to the library to study for finals. We love to give this as a little relaxed time during finals week for our students.
It's great as a parent too. I have 4 children and I've brought them to this event several times and it's great. They enjoy going on the hayride and just being able to see campus all lit up. And then they've had crafts before too for children to do, which is also wonderful. It's just a great family event and a good way to celebrate the holidays.
It is. We would love to have them. We love inviting the community out for this free event. And again, more information can be found at wonderland.northwood.edu.
Very good. Thank you so much for getting us into the holiday spirit, Laura. Can we talk a little bit about Thanksgiving?
Of course. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. And one thing that makes it so special is it's not only a time where we can take inventory and of all the things we're thankful for, but the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, we can put our thankfulness into action through Giving Tuesday.
If anyone's interested in supporting Northwood University on Giving Tuesday, how can they do that?
You can keep a lookout on our social media channels and on our website to make a donation online. This year, we are asking for folks to support our Independence Endowment Scholarship Fund. And thank you to a generous donor. Every gift made to support this endowment will be matched dollar for dollar up to $1.5 million. All of these gifts are tax deductible and will help current and future Northwood students receive their education worry-free.
Wow, that is so generous. Such an unbelievable supportive network to help us in our mission to develop the future free enterprise leaders who drive global and social progress.
You bet. So circling back to Giving Tuesday, I recently read a piece by the American Psychological Association that talked about what happens in our brains when we give. Did anybody else have a talk about that or read that piece?
Yes, research has found gift giving, particularly when the giftee is someone we have a really close relationship, so a family member, a friend, that can activate key reward pathways in our brain. And the gift giving activates regions of the brain associated with pleasure, social connection, and trust, creating a warm glow effect. And in fact, several studies over the last decade have demonstrated that spending money on someone other than yourself promotes happiness.
So there you have it. Participating in Giving Tuesday not only helps the causes you support, but your overall mental well-being.
Indeed. And Laura, you mentioned earlier that you're a former student here at Northwood. Can you tell us what brought you to Northwood?
Yes. I knew one of the paths I was interested in when I was graduating high school was business. And the main reason I was drawn to Northwood was my ability to start my major classes on day one. I was really fearful that I would spend 2 years at one of the more public and state-run schools that I was looking at and would be nervous. They only accept a certain amount of students into every college program they have. And I didn't want to felt like I wasted 2 years if I didn't get into a business school. So I really liked that I felt at Northwood I wasn't wasting a single minute of my time in my 4 years.
And what were some of the experiences like as a student?
Overall, my experience as a student was great. College is super tough for pretty much any student that goes. It's a really new experience. I moved away from home, so it was my first time being away from my family. So it was really hard my first semester, but I truly feel like the experiences and the education I was afforded, I would not have gotten anywhere else.
That's wonderful. Now transition us, because now you're a staff member here at Northwood. And how has that experience been for you?
I'd say it's been even better. I have loved being back on campus. I love being able to be back with staff and faculty that I had as a student and getting to work closely with them in a different aspect. The team that I work on advancement is amazing. We are just really a little work family. We are all so supportive of each other and each other's work efforts. And it's a great testament to the atmosphere that Northwood has created on campus for staff, students, and faculty alike.
Yeah, I'm very privileged to work closely with Laura as an advancement colleague, and I can tell that she's driven and dedicated. And it makes me wonder, what drives you professionally?
The biggest thing that drives me professionally is just my want of helping people. When I first graduated from Northwood, I transitioned to the more traditional nonprofit sector with really a lot of client-based organizations. And even though it was kind of a jump to come back to higher education nonprofit sector work, I still get to help people every single day because no matter when I'm getting a donation or I'm talking to a donor or another alum, I'm doing things to help our students to make their day-to-day education and campus life better. And I love getting to work with the students. I work with a lot of our students that do student-run programs like Auto Show and Style Showcase and Stafford Dinner. So I get to teach the students how to be philanthropic and ask for donations and, just increase their skills. And being on campus with like-minded individuals who also value freedom and personal responsibility is really refreshing. I'm lucky to be a part of teaching and instilling values like these and of our Northwood idea to our students.
Very nice, Laura. Thank you so much for being in studio with us today. Thank you for what you do for the university and for future students as well, future Timbies. We appreciate that. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Continuing with the holiday theme of this episode, we'd like to welcome Dr. Michael Makovi, an economics professor from Northwood University, who is here today to discuss holiday shopping and inflation. Welcome, Michael.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
So heading into the holidays, Michael, everyone's talking about inflation. Can you give us kind of the Reader's Digest view of what inflation is, how it affects the economy, and how it affects the individuals, and how it's been since COVID?
So basically, inflation is a generalized increase in the price of everything, meaning it has to be distinguished from relative price changes of particular goods. So, if an oil pipeline bursts and oil prices go up, you will see prices increasing, but really we would say, well, that's an increase in the price of oil, and then, rippling out to the price of everything else. Now, we calculate inflation as the change in prices. So if, let's say, an oil pipeline burst, it would show statistically like inflation. You would see things becoming more expensive, but properly speaking, what inflation really is a generalized increase in the price of everything across the board. And the only thing that can really cause that is an increase in the money supply. I mean, I suppose if you bomb the whole country to kingdom come, I suppose that would also increase the price of everything, but that's not usually what we're afraid of. So the only cause of a generalized increase in the price of everything across the board that's realistic is an increase in the money supply, more money chasing the same number of goods. And for the past, actually many years, but especially during COVID, we have had a very loose monetary policy with a tremendous increase in the money supply. And now we're seeing the consequences of that.
So fast forward, we're out of COVID. Where do things stand now with inflation?
I think inflation now is doing relatively well. The Federal Reserve has instituted a tight monetary policy. So if you reduce the money supply or reduce the rate of increase in the money supply, you will either reduce the rate of inflation, or you could even cause deflation if you actually reduced the money supply. So they've been instituting that policy, and sure enough, the rate of inflation has slowed.
Where do things stand now with inflation and heading into the holidays? What does that look like from the lens of a retailer?
So I think for now, at least in the short term, inflation is relatively under control. The rate of inflation has fallen relatively close to the Federal Reserve's 2% annual target. We're not there yet, but we're heading in that direction. But I think a lot of consumers are still finding that things are more expensive, and retailers realize that consumers are facing a sticker shock of everything costing more than they expect it to, and wages haven't necessarily caught up with the inflation that has already happened. So I think retailers are sensitive to that. A few of them do have some holiday deals. Mayer, for example, is selling 59 cents a pound store brand frozen turkeys.
Right. Meyer is saying that those are the prices from the 1930s, right?
Which is, I have to imagine they're taking a loss on that. So I suppose it could be, their own goodwill that maybe they're willing to take a loss, because to help their customers out. Or it could be a loss leader where they're selling one thing below cost to get you in the store and get you to buy other stuff, and they expect to make a profit on everything else. A lot of other stores are doing similar things. Target, ShopRite, Walmart, a lot of them have different baskets or discounts on turkeys. So I guess whichever store you shop at, look and see, do they have some sort of like pre-made basket they might have, or they might say if you buy the following items collectively, you get a certain discount.
So we've been talking about what these businesses are doing for consumers during the holidays, trying to lower prices for them, make things easier to purchase things. But in the long run, as an economist, what can you tell us as what should happen or what could happen to help us out in general?
So in the long run, we'd have to keep the rate of increase of the money supply relatively low and steady. So we have a relatively low rate of inflation and a relatively predictable rate of inflation. The problem is the fiscal state of the federal government is going to make that very difficult, because currently the federal government is spending more money than it can make in tax revenue. The federal government is currently about $33 trillion in debt, which is about 120% debt to GDP. That's more in debt than we were after World War II. Now, it's fine to go deep into debt for a one-time thing that you expect to pay off. World War II happened once, and we haven't yet had World War III, so pretty reasonable. You build a bunch of debt and you pay it off. Well, we're going deeper and deeper into debt to pay for ongoing federal expenses, military, Medicaid, Social Security make up about 3/4 of federal government spending. Well, the military, however important the war on terrorism is, it doesn't seem to be coming to an end. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security are clearly not one-time things that we can say, good, we did that, it's done. So we're going deeper and deeper into debt to pay for the federal government's groceries. And what's going to happen is either that debt gets paid off with higher taxes, or it gets paid off by printing money out of thin air to pay for the debt. In fact, there's fears that we might be legally compelled to go that route, because what's happening is there's been fears that the federal debt is growing so large that the purchases of treasury bonds are no longer completely certain that those bonds will be paid off. So if people are afraid to buy the treasury bonds, either A, the federal government has to pay higher interest to induce people to buy those bonds. Well, then the higher interest rates have negative effects on the economy. Or in the event that no investors want to buy those treasury bonds, we get a failed treasury auction, and the Federal Reserve is legally obligated to buy whatever bonds could not be auctioned. But the way the Federal Reserve buys bonds is it prints money out of thin air to pay for them. So in effect, we become at some point legally compelled to engineer an inflation in order to pay the federal government's debts. So the only way to prevent inflation in the long run is going to be to bring federal spending under control. But that means cutting Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, military, or raising taxes. Every other federal expense is pennies on the dollar. Like you could eliminate the entire Department of Education or the entire forestry or any of those. You're talking 1% of federal spending.
Fascinating. All right, Michael. So now the question that's on everyone's minds. What is the top of your holiday list, or your holiday list shopping for somebody else?
Well, so a lot of people in Michigan, I've seen online ask, "Oh, how are the roads? Do they have snow? Do they have ice?" And I always try to tell people, if you have to ask that question, you're running the wrong kind of tires. We live in Michigan, we get snow and ice. All season tires are only really all season compared to a summer tire. A summer tire turns into a hockey puck. Compared to that, all season tires are technically usable, but really in a climate like this, they're 3-season tires. What you need around here are proper winter tires, or at least a new category called an all-weather tire, which unfortunately they have to be called all-weather because the name all-season already got taken by a tire that doesn't deserve it. An all-weather tire is an all-season tire that has the three-peak mountain snowflake symbol like a winter tire. So they have a softer rubber compound than an all-season tire, so that they remain soft and pliable to be able to grip snow and ice in cold weather, not as well as a winter tire, but better than an all-season. Now, the trade-off is because they're softer, they also wear a bit faster. There's no perfect tire that's going to be hard and durable and soft and grippy to grip ice in the cold. You got to choose one or the other. But at least all-weather tires skew a bit more in the direction of actually getting usable traction on snow and ice. So if you don't want to swap between all-season tires and winter tires, go get an all-weather tire. Any tire shop, if you make sure you say all-weather and not all-season, they'll know what you're talking about. Make sure you get the term right, though. If you just ask for an all-season, they're going to give you an all-season. That's not what you want. Or if you want to give them a brand name, ask for something like the Michelin Cross Climate 2 or the Nokian WRG4. There's the Toyo Celsius, Firestone Weather Grip, Bridgestone Weather Peak, Hankook Kinergy 4S2. So I guess that's 4 seasons. I guess their second version of it. General Ultimax 365 AW. If you can remember even any one of those, you'll be good.
So that's at the top of Dr. Makovi's What I Want for the Holidays list?
Pretty much. When my girlfriend just recently moved from Texas, and I said to her, okay, we got to get you the right tires for your car. And I run winter tires in the winter. She's like, no, I don't want to deal with all that expense. A second set of wheels, having to go to the tire shop to swap. I said, well, fine. Can you at least get all weather tires? So I got her a set of the Nokian WRG4, and now she'll be using those year round.
How can you get more romantic than that, Dan?
I don't know.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
We're very grateful to have fantastic faculty members like Dr. Makovi. Again, Michael, thank you for all of your wisdom and advice that you shared with us. Thank you to all of our listeners and our viewers, and we wish you all a stress-free and economical holiday season.
Happy holidays from America's Business School.